get on. Let's see for the volunteers. We need to start with a roll call.
Sure. Council Member Welling is excused, but we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn my microphone on so hopefully you can hear me. Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Is there any changes to that agenda we need to consider before we approve? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lind?
I'll second.
Mr. Lynch? Seconding? Any discussion on the motion? If there's none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? We have an agenda. We have the council minutes for July 16. Any concerns, questions regarding those? If not, we'll acknowledge those as they've been prepared and move to the work session minutes for July 23. Same thing there. Any changes we need to consider there? If not, we'll acknowledge those as well, and we'll go on to the bills. The warrant register with today's date on it. Questions? Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Mr. Perks has motioned. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sellers, seconding. Any discussion on the motion? If there is none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That takes care of the bills. We have a revenue and expenditure report for May. Any questions or comments there? Is there a motion to approve that report?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Lynn seconding. Discussion. Discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Takes care of that report. Council comments. Mr. Lynch.
I had a constituent ask me, it's more of a question for Gordon. They have not seen street sweepers. I know that's a burr in the saddle, partner, but do we have a schedule for them? On 9th Street? Okay, but she was complaining hasn't seen the street sweepers out. And the speed monitor sign on 6th Street in front of the Boys and Girls Club, are we waiting for parts on it, or? I told her that, but I invited her to a work session, and she asked me to bring it up at the council meeting. And the other question was, are we going to get air conditioning for the machine shop? So that'll come up in a work session, I'm sure.
At some point, I bet I will, yeah. Mr. Lynn?
Evanston Youth Club has got a back-to-school carnival. I think they're a little short on some backpacks. If anybody wants to donate to the youth club, they've got a great back-to-school carnival that they get haircuts, backpacks, try to get all these kids that don't have what they need to start school. So if you're inclined to go donate to the youth club, that'd be great. And yeah, just happy but sad. School's going to start in a couple weeks.
Depending on your perspective.
I still got some at home, so.
Excellent, thank you.
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Sellers?
Just a quick reminder of to watch for people with depression and to remember the 988 number. And then number two, we're getting close to done with City View, and I'm grateful for that. But if you travel in the areas that they're doing all that construction, be patient with the workers. I've seen a couple people not be so patient, and they ask you to turn around and go back. You just turn around and go back. So we all have to put up with that. And I drive City View at least 3 times a day, so I think they've done a remarkable job. So thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Hickman?
Just a reminder that it's voting season, and so if you aren't registered to vote, or if you know somebody who isn't registered to vote and who is eligible, it is so important. That's how our government works, is to hear your views and your opinions, and through your cast at the ballot box. And for those of you who are enjoying this oppressive heat like I am, the way I get through it is I try to remember this in February and January when I'm freezing, and it'll get you through. So, yeah, most importantly, check out your candidates. There's going to be on Facebook, there's a lot of stuff going on about being posted about when you can go see what they stand for. There's on the Thursday at the Strand, you'll be seeing our local candidates for Uintah County, and right here on the council. So, most important thing you can do as an American, vote.
Thank you. I don't think I have anything at this point to add, so we will move on. We have no public hearings or special orders. We do have a couple of consent agenda items. Is there any concern with those, addressing them together? Or?
Well, we've done them both before, right?
I believe you're right.
Together.
Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lind seconding. Any discussion?
Rocco, make sure you got my premier spot that I paid for that block party. Yeah. Well, no, I paid for that premier spot. Make sure I got that premier spot.
Any further discussion? If there's none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That takes care of our consent agenda. We'll go on to unfinished business. Ordinance 2406. Mr. Harris, lead us off there, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Ordinance 2406, an ordinance approving and authorizing the final plat for the Ridgecrest 6th edition located in the city of Evanston, Wyoming, being more particularly described herein. This is now before the council on second reading, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jacobson.
Okay. There have been no changes to this plat, final plat, since first reading. There is an update that I would like to provide the council as far as the requirement for a public land dedication with a major subdivision or a cash in lieu, 11% cash in lieu of the raw land value. Yellow Creek Ranch Company has a credit for an easement that the city has requested for a water main transmission line across Yellow Creek Ranch Company property. That's going to be pretty much the same as what the 11% cash in lieu requirement will be. So that will be reflected in the subdividers agreement.
Okay.
That's what's being proposed to accomplish that. So I don't have anything else regarding the subdivision. If anyone has any questions.
I guess if there's, go ahead, Mr. Sellers, if you have a question. I guess if there's no, I don't remember there being too much questions or controversy necessarily at our first reading. It seems pretty straightforward. So I'll just entertain a motion for discussion purposes. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2406 on second reading. Mr. Sellers.
And I'll second it, Your Honor.
Mr. Perks seconding. Is there any discussion?
Makes sense. It'll fit right in.
Any further discussion? If there is none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That takes care of that on second reading.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to new business, and we'll start there with Resolution 2451. Mr. Harris, you read that title for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2451 is a resolution of the governing body of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, approving change order number 6 for the Roundhouse Section 4 tenant gray shell and loading facilities project in the City of Evanston.
Thank you, sir. Mr. O'Neill.
Mayor, members of the council, Rocco O'Neill, Community Development Department. Excuse me. Some of you might remember when we initially put out to bid this project, we had the north parking lot, as an alternate option on that. We ultimately decided not to include it in the initial contract because the contractor and the architect wanted to work out some design issues, and we worked those out, and so we'd like to change order that parking lot into this project.
Okay. I think this is an important project to move forward with, an expensive one, but an important project to move forward for the future of the Roundhouse and future uses there. I'll entertain is there an introduction on Resolution 2451?
I'll introduce with a motion to pass.
Mr. Lynch with a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lind, seconding. Any discussion?
Just like a reminder of what we're up to on this project, price-wise?
I'm not sure what the total price is. I'll have to go back and look at our line items, but the initial contract was $2.9 million.
Okay, thanks.
Further discussion?
Kind of the last piece of the puzzle, right? To kind of finish this project off, so we need to get her done.
Yeah.
Something needs to get done.
We knew we were going to have to do this. Got to have a place to park.
There's no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2452. Mr. Harris, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Resolution 2452 is a resolution of the governing body of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, ratifying execution of change order number 1 for the 2024 street overlay project.
Thank you. Mr. Newsom.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This change order is really born because the bids we did get left enough meat on the bone to add another, another road section within reason, and so we were able to add Gregory Avenue to the project that was currently awarded not too long ago.
Excellent. Is there introduction on this resolution? Sellers with a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Perks, seconding. Discussion.
So they're just doing a bigger section of road?
Yeah, Gregory was on our list, but was never thought to be budgeted for, but based upon how the bids came in, the price difference of what was so-called under what we had available for this half was right in line with adding Gregory. And so given the nature of work, it made sense with removing the existing pavement and the subgrade reclamation that we were doing in that section to make it an add-on.
That makes sense. I drove up around there. They're doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, I can't ask for anything better. Relatively quick getting in, and literally next week we'll be paving and be nice and black. So.
I know this isn't related to this issue, but with the City View situation, that part that they did last time, so it got some issues. Are they going to go back and fix that?
Yeah, I personally have had conversations with both the Whiteout folks and the contractor and made it well known that those gutter lines will have to be repaired at their cost, if you will. So it's on my radar as much as it's on theirs. So.
Okay. I know that's not related, but I figured I'd ask why you're
Oh,
here.
fair question.
It's your neighborhood, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that area.
Yeah. With respect to that timeline, if all the stars align, they should be hopefully paving next week. So appreciate the patience.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor of Resolution 2452, say aye.
Question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just getting this beforehand.
Okay.
And so the original price was just under 200,000 at 196,338.50, and then we have a total, we're adding another 9,000. Is that correct? For the additional work? And then it
Are you
says-
looking at the invoice or the quote from the?
Yeah.
That 9,000 was if that mill had left and I didn't pull the trigger right away, it would have cost us another 9 on top of the 196.
Okay, kind of a different route I'm taking, so bear with me. So I'm looking at I'm quickly reading this, so, bear with me. And then it says additional costs could be a share of positive drainage, all service 1.5 slope, increase. In other words, I will go for it with another change order. What I'm curious is, I just need to clarify, because it's something I'm working on, is this, as I recall, Staker Parsons came in and the bid with the Wyoming company was very close? I just want to know those totals. You might not be able to give them to me now.
They met the 5% reduction, or the extension, if you will. So they beat our local Wyoming company by 5+%.
I just want to know with the additional costs, are we still in that 5%? That's where I'm going, because I'm really, really, really trying to figure out where we can make it easier and better for our Wyoming companies, because I'm sick of signing these, quite honestly. Yeah, so that's what the numbers I'm asking you about, with the increase above, and as I said, you might not have them off the top of your head, but then again, where we're leaving the door open for additional, did we close the gap? I want to know those numbers.
What the prices were given for this extra road were based upon basically unit price costs that they bid originally.
Yes.
And so to ask if there's a difference, the only thing I can equate to is what the original bid was, and they beat the Wyoming company by more than 5%.
I got that. So I guess it's something that we can talk about afterwards.
Yeah,
Where we can boil down the numbers, because I want to...
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? There's none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Resolution 2453. Mr. Harris, should read that title for us, please.
I'm sorry. We do 2454 together because they're exactly the same.
Oh, okay. Can we read 24, 53, and 54?
I can. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2453, a resolution of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, authorizing the execution of a contract with the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police to provide funds for the Evanston Police Department to conduct tobacco compliance inspections. Resolution 2454, a resolution of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, authorizing the execution of a contract with the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police to provide funds for the Evanston Police Department to conduct alcohol compliance inspections. Mr. Mayor, you will need to vote on these separately because they're standalone, but you can consider them at the same time.
Excellent. Thank you. Chief.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, thank you. These are exactly the same. They're both administered by WASCOP, Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police, and one is for our tobacco compliance, one is for alcohol compliance. They have the same contracts, and we've been doing this for 20-plus years. And what this enables the police department to do, along with so many communities within the state of Wyoming, is to conduct compliance checks to local retailers. There's not a gotcha. It's not a tricky thing. The youth that are selected to do this, they can't have any previous tobacco or alcohol violations. They're required to wear their regular clothing. We take a picture of the clothing they're wearing for the prosecutor in case there's any concern in court later on. They're required to use their state-issued ID. We take a photocopy of that. And the children doing this are required to read the state statute, and they're not allowed to lie. And they simply go in and try to purchase tobacco or alcohol products. It is authorized under Wyoming state statute and is done on a regular basis. And if the clerk does not sell, they're given $10. If the clerk makes a sale, they're either cited or warned, depending on the discretion of the officer. And we've been doing this for more than 20 years, and I think it does have an impact on preventing underage sales.
I believe you're right. I believe you're right, Chief. I think this is a great program that we used. In fact, years ago, when my children were of appropriate age, I think they assisted in some of this, helping, and they thought it was kind of an interesting venture. And I think it's a great program. So I'm glad that we do this every year, and I'm glad to hear when things are done appropriately by our retailers and our vendors. I think that's beneficial to the community as well. So I think it's great. I'll entertain a introduction on 2453.
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Mr. Perks?
I'll second.
Mr. Lynch, seconding. Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That is approved on 2453. I'll entertain, is there an introduction on 2454? Mr. Sellers. Second there.
I'll second.
Mr. Lynn, seconding. Any discussion?
How do you recruit these kids?
Usually the school resource officer. We'll try to select some kids that are showing interest in it. Sometimes we do use officers' kids. It's a matter of convenience. If the kid's under 18 years old, we've got to have parental permission. With the new tobacco laws and the not being able to sell the kids under 21, we're able to use adults in some cases without parental permission, but they're selected based on just trying to go out and find them, and it's kind of hard to find them at times.
Obviously, you don't find the kid that can grow a full beard when he's 16 or anything like that.
You know what? Some of these kids look like they should be in middle school, and they've gotten sales before. It's, you know, they've given their ID. I mean, they've asked their date of birth, and they've given their date of birth, and the clerk has repeatedly typed it in, and that they do get a do not sell, and the clerk will override it by using his date of birth, and we've had that happen many times.
No, I think it's a good program. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Careful, he has a
Any further discussion?
He does.
If there's none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? That's approved as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2455. Mr. Harris, read that title for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2455, a resolution of the governing body of the city of Evanston, Wyoming, authorizing the acceptance of a quote from Foster & Foster Consulting Actuaries, Inc., to provide the city an actuary report to enable the city to make required GASB disclosures for fiscal years ending June 30, 2024 and June 30, 2025.
Thank you, sir. Lynn.
In our annual audit, we're required through the Government Accounting Standards Board to include an actuarial calculation. If you know what that is, that's great. And what that does is it assesses the financial health and the funding needed for future obligations of pension plans and post-employment health benefits. We do it every year. Foster & Foster is really not a new company. It was Dempsey Fillinger before, and we have done it with them the last several years. And they, of course, specialize in these calculations. And the amount in the contract is for the next 2 years. So.
Thank you. Any questions on this before we move forward?
So they're going to be able to tell us exactly each day that each going to die?
Yeah, they try to.
Wouldn't that be something?
Mr. Mayor?
more
That's right.
regulation.
What they're required to do is to tell the treasurer and the city what their unfunded, I shouldn't say unfunded, what the potential future liability is for those benefits.
Yeah.
And we show them on our financial statements.
I think the state's facing that also, aren't they?
Well, the audit, the Department of Audit can come in and audit them, but yeah, we're required to provide that.
Is there introduction on this resolution?
I'll introduce with a motion to pass.
Mr. Lind with a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Mr. Perks seconding. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That is approved as well. Thank you. Resolution 2456. Mr. Harris, please.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2456 is a resolution of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, authorizing the execution of a third-party custodian agreement with BMO Bank N.A. and the Bank of New York Mellon Company.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lim?
And what this is any of the public deposits that we have in a bank exceeding the $250,000 FDIC limit has to be secured with additional collateral or assets from that financial institution. It's just to ensure the safety of our public funds. When Bank of the West switched over to BMO, they call it, they also decided to change their third-party custodian from Wells Fargo to Bank of New York Mellon Company. And this is just an agreement they sent to me asking, basically, I guess, saying, are we okay with this change?
Is there any reason that you've had a chance to look at that, Mr. Harris?
I did, Your Honor.
Any
Yeah.
concerns from your...
I would have written it a different way, but unfortunately, when you're talking about that amount of money, they kind of direct what they want. But
I understand.
And I believe we have used Bank of New York Mellon Company with Wells Fargo Bank. So we've had collateral with them before.
Not necessarily new to us in the
Right.
grand scheme of things. Okay. Well, is there an introduction on this resolution?
I'll introduce with a motion to pass.
Well, that was
We're
a
all second. How about that?
Mr. Sellers,
Jinx.
Mr. Sellers, the motion, are you comfortable seconding that, Mr. Lind?
Sure.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. We now need to consider a motion to accept the apparent low bidder for the construction of some lockers at the rec center. Ms. Larson.
Mayor, Council, Kim Larson, Evanston Parks and Rec District. We had one bidder for our locker replacement project. Also, they'll be replacing the benches and we will go from having keys to keyless lock system. The one bidder came in at $129,500, which is within budget, so I would recommend to accept this bid from Norcon Industries.
I think we've been working on this project for some time. We've been discussing this project for a number of
They're
years.
40 years old. It's time.
We've been discussing it for about 12 years.
Yeah. So it's probably time we pull the trigger on it,
Yeah.
I guess.
And it came up for a bid, but the bids were so high before that
We
it was recommended that we just pass on them before, so.
rhino line them.
What's that?
Rhino line them.
Is there a motion, is there a motion on this bid?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lynch making the motion is,
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Mr. Perks seconding.
They need it.
Any discussion on the motion?
What kind of, if they're not keyless, what are they going to be
They'll
used?
have like a little
Keypad?
dial or punch pad. I think it's a dial because we saved a little bit money going with the dial.
Okay, and then you'll
And
get,
so you put your code in and you lock it up and then come back, put your own code in, and then it can clear so the next person can add a code. So,
kind of
Like the safes in the
Safe in the hotel room.
hotel or.
yes, yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, the keys, they go home with people, they're in the
Oh, I
bottom
know
of the
they're
pool, they're in the parking lot,
Yeah.
they're everywhere except for where they're supposed to be.
And we won't have to worry about people getting tetanus shots.
What are we doing with the old ones? Are they just disposing of them, or?
That's a good question. It is part of the bid that they do the demo and remove them, so
Okay.
if you want the old rusty
No, I'm good.
lockers,
Drop them off, Jesse.
I could save a few for you, Jesse. They're in pretty bad shape, though.
Somehow I ended up with a couple when they redid the high school. I don't need any more.
I think the high schools were in better shape when they had them out in the back and they were telling people to come pick them up.
Yeah, I ended up with some of those. I don't
Yeah.
know how, but
We got a motion and a second to accept this bid. Is there any further discussion? If there's not, all in favor say aye.
I
Aye. Are there any opposed? That takes care of that. Resolution 2457. Mr. Harris, read that title for us, please.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City of Evanston, Wyoming, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Norcon Industries, Inc. for the completion of all work required for the City of Evanston Recreation Center locker replacement project.
The resolution relative to the bid we just approved.
Okay.
Is there
Any further
introduc-
questions?
I'm sorry. Not that I know of. Unless is there more to add?
No.
Is there introduction on this resolution? Mr. Sellers with a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Mr. Perk seconding. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. That is approved. Comments from departments. Ms. Larson, while you're walking back, do you have anything more for tonight's meeting? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, way back there. Anything, sir?
No, sir.
Newsom?
No, sir.
Ms. Lim? Mr. O'Neill? Chief Branish?
No, sir.
Ms. Harris?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harris?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Public participation. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the council for any reason? Please come forward. If you'd give us, I think we know your name, but if you'll give us your name, that'd be great.
It's Gina Sundquist. And thank you for letting me come up and talk to you all this evening, Mr. Mayor and the council. I have a little speech I prepared. I'm grateful for the opportunity to address you all today regarding the incident that occurred with Mr. O'Neill on July 23rd. I am here this evening to make sure my voice is heard and my concerns are taken into consideration. I would like to follow up with you, the council, especially since the article came out in the Herald last week. First, I'd like to thank the council members Jesse Lind, Mike Sellers, and Jen Hegman for reaching out to me after I sent them an email days before the article was even published. I truly appreciate your acknowledgement, and I am grateful you responded to my concerns. I felt heard by you three and was somewhat disappointed I did not hear back from the other members of the council. It is important that our elected officials know the full details of its citizens' complaints or suggestions, and that they respond to those that reach out with concerns. It meant a great deal to me that you showed compassion to my situation, and I thank you very much for that. Secondly, I would like to address the article and Rocco's response briefly. Rocco did apologize when I was in his office. However, I felt as though once I left the office, my concerns would be swept under the rug. And as I laid awake that night thinking about his said apology, the more I realized I needed to make the situation public. How many others in the community have had their concerns not taken seriously? His apology did not feel sincere. My feelings were justified when the article was published, especially when he told the Herald, and I quote, that the voicemail incident is a non-issue and that the Herald saved the print space for valuable election coverage. This remark negates his apology in its entirety. He blatantly lied to the Herald multiple times, such as when he told the reporters that he was speaking to the wall, when in the voicemail it was obvious he was speaking to two other women having direct conversation while berating my concerns and laughing at my expense. I am extremely grateful to the Herald for printing the facts and accomplishing what I was hoping the article would do, to make the citizens of Evanston aware of the concerning behavior of certain city officials and employees and the fact that I was purposely kept from voicing my concerns at a work session agenda. The outpouring of support from so many within our community has been overwhelming, to say the least. I hope those that have told me that they were also kept from work sessions will now feel compelled to have their voices heard. The city needs to do better. With that being said, the reason that all of this has come to fruition, the lack of air conditioning in the machine shop. What can be done? What will be done? Can this issue finally be addressed? The machine shop is a most beautiful building that has been utilized by the citizens of Evanston for 20 years now. 20 years of conversation but no follow-through. Why? That is what I wanted to bring to light at the work session meeting. Are there grants available to help fund such a project? There has to be a solution to the problem. Summers are getting hotter, and there will be a great need for the addition of air conditioning if the city wants to continue to reserve the building throughout the entire year. I just wanted to bring my concerns forward to the mayor and council and possibly work through some options. That is all. I hope this will be a topic taken seriously at the next meeting. No one deserves to go through what my family and friends went through that night. It was a very hot and uncomfortable day. We are lucky no one became seriously ill, because 3 people did. I would be happy to continue with this conversation at future meetings as a contributing member and citizen if you'll have me. I'd like to help solve a problem. On that note, the 3 issues I feel are most important I have addressed today. Number 1, the heat in the machine shop. The history of the beautiful buildings and the citizens' use of them are vital to the makeup of this amazing town. Please, please place importance on installing air conditioning so that citizens in the future can enjoy the moments that are significant in their lives. It should matter to city officials that its citizens enjoy all the beauty the city has worked so hard over the years to build. It's important. Number 2, the importance of the council, mayor, and employees to hear the concerns of its citizens and address them accordingly. Respond to concerned emails and represent those who voted you into your positions. Number 3, the voicemail Rocco O'Neill left for me was abhorrent, unprofessional, and downright ignorant. It continues to reside in my thoughts every day, and yes, it makes me angry still. I made my concerns known through the article in the paper, which has served its purpose in reaching the citizens in Evanston. I just hope the council and mayor hold Rocco and the others heard in the voicemail accountable and reprimand them accordingly. I hope you take this seriously. I am sure I am not the only citizen that has been berated and wrongfully kept from speaking my voice. Hopefully, I will be the last. The citizens of this city and county deserve better. In closing, thank you, City Council, for listening to my concerns, and Mayor. One final note, I would like to share with you the pictures of my handsome son and his beautiful bride on the most important day of their life. I'm a little proud.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
I am truly blessed with the most amazing children, all 5 of them, a very supportive and loving husband, family who loves me unconditionally, friends who have my back, and a community in which I have such a great love for and proud to be part of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I never received the email.
I sent one to every member to the emails listed on the city page
I'm looking at it.
with a copy of the audio of the message that I received that day.
Might have been a personal one.
And I was out of town, so if I went to my personal one, I didn't answer it, so I apologize.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have.
Okay. I have, if you need to listen to it, I have that, or I can email you a different email or something.
That would be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just went through the ones listed on the city page, all the emails, and I used those addresses, so. But I have a copy of my speech if you'd all like to have it, so you can refer back if you would like one, so.
Beautiful photos. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council tonight? You, Mr. Epps, go ahead, Mr. Eskelson.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
About 3-4 weeks ago, the last time I talked to you about the water tower, one of the things you brought up, Mayor, was I should be getting bids. All on May 17th, I did hand out bids at the workshop. But I'm right now, and I hope you got the...
I do have a copy of that, yes, sir.
And I'm asking City Council to vote on putting into the budget this amendment to bring the water tower here. We know we can get it done by winter if we could get some money to do it. We've worked on our end to get some money. I'm not sure just how much is to help bring it up here. And I just remind everybody that this is the city's tower that we're bringing here, and we put a lot of time into it. And we'd like to see, get a vote from the City Council and Mayor to amend the budget for the money to bring the tower here.
Thank you, sir. Obviously, we're not prepared to accomplish that here tonight. We have spoke before. Again, we've got some priorities that I personally have relative to the courtyard and that financial obligation that might be prior to make sure that we get things done appropriately and in a timely fashion relative to all the other things that are going on at the roundhouse in the courtyard. I hear your concerns. This will be a topic of discussion moving forward. I don't know exactly when this might be placed on an agenda to be considered, but I can tell you that the discussion will be ongoing. We're just not quite there yet.
Okay.
I'm
not going anywhere.
I know you're not. I'm glad. I'm glad. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council? As far as the issue with Rocco and Ms. Sundquist, that's an unfortunate event. I regret that has happened, but it has. And all I would simply say is I don't know that any of us in this room have ever not at some point said something that we would regret. Something on the phone, something to someone else. I do that on a regular basis, and it's an unfortunate thing. I have personally spoke with Rocco. We have talked about this at length to some degree. I'm aware that he has apologized, and I think that's an appropriate thing. He assures me, and I believe him, that this will not happen again. I can tell you that there was nothing, at least that I've been able to surmise directly, pointed comment-wise to any one individual in particular. The situation was such that it was just a frustrating situation on both sides of that discussion, and that's unfortunate. As far as moving forward, we'll just try to do better as a mayor, as city staff, and all of that. The one thing that I will say that I'm disappointed in, and quite honestly, it's with the newspaper. That particular edition of the newspaper, that story covered about a page and a half. And on the same front page of that newspaper, there was a small article about a gentleman who had been involved in child pornography. There was a death relative to the sheriff's office, and there was another individual, longtime member of the community, who had the unfortunate event to take some action against some of his brothers in another community. All of those were unfortunate events, but quite frankly, I think it's sickening that this article takes up the bulk of that newspaper, which, in my mind, while it maybe deserves some exposure, but to that extent, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that, quite frankly, the one person in this community that had the ability to do anything with this situation, Rocco, whatever, the one person, and I don't want to be arrogant about this, but that one person was me, and the newspaper didn't even contact me and get an opinion or a thought, an input for that article. I find that completely disappointed. And I hope you get that right, Kane, in the newspaper. I can tell you that maybe many people in this room have no knowledge of who Mel Baldwin was, but I can tell you right now he's spinning in a grave in the Evanston City Cemetery at the condition of our local newspaper, and it sickens me. And this meeting is adjourned.